Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Wilda Rima-Lessie. And as you know, we start off our meeting by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, America the Beautiful, and the pledge will be led by Cal Weary, followed by the invocation by Steve Feldman and visitor introductions by Ray Rosen. And if someone could please let Doug know that even in his absence, some people are giving me feedback on my bell ringing, so I will continue to work on that.
Rotarians, please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a word of prayer. O God of creativity, in some of our conversations, I have asked you how you might inspire people to write your holy books today. It's been fun, even if I haven't trusted myself to do my own edit of the Qumran scrolls or the Tripitaka tablets. But I do think it would be noteworthy to add to the Beatitudes, blessed are those who create, for in spite of disparagement from the status quo, they may just find a better way. We ask your blessing on our speaker, who teaches music in new and creative ways, and upon all creative thinkers and innovators in any area of endeavor. Guide them as they search, try, fail, and try again. And may they find that exciting, untried, and unexplored path. Thank you for this gathering of Rotarians and for the meal we've enjoyed. Remind us all in expressing gratitude for that food and for the work of the cooks and servers who brought it to us. Send us all from this place mindful of the universality of our Rotary belief in service above self, and keep reminding us to practice the four-way test, especially when it's easier to forget. Amen.
I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Wilda has welcomed you. Thaddeus Robinson, guest of past President John Kleindienst, and Ron Unger, guest of Lisa Barshinger. And we have our group of musicians, Ava, Brady, Harry, Kiera, and Landon. Mike Smith, guest of President Wilda. And finally, Amy Laporte, guest of Serena Spezio. Back to President Wilda.
On behalf of the Rotary Club, thank you for visiting with us today. Whether this is your first time or you're back again, it's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. Rotary is about connection, service, and making a difference, and we're excited to share that spirit with you. We hope that you feel welcome and inspired with your time during your time with us. If what you see here today resonates with you, we'd love to have you consider becoming a part of our Rotary family. There's always room at the table for people who care about our community. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. And now for some announcements. The program committee will meet today at 1:30 p.m. downstairs in the Mixed Grill. The membership engagement committee will meet on August 18th at 8 a.m. on Teams. And the nominating committee will meet on August 18th at noon on Zoom. We have a little recap. Thank you to the Etzweiler family for hosting the Rotary Crab Feast last week. A good time and many crabs were had by those in attendance. From the picture on the left, it looks like I gave Aaron a run on who ate the most crabs, while Courtney looks picture perfect as usual. Thank you to everyone who came out. We had about 30 Rotarians in attendance. It was a very beautiful evening down by the river. If you have an opportunity to attend that next year, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a great evening. So next up, I'm gonna put some of you, I think, outside of your comfort zone a little bit. In a little bit, we're gonna do a visioning exercise about the future of our club. So I encourage you now to start thinking about what you want our club to become, the impact that we make, the kind of community that we build, and the legacy that we leave behind. So we're going to get back to that in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. And at this time, I'll invite Jason McSherry to the podium for an announcement from the Literacy Committee.
Thank you, President Wilda. Good afternoon, Rotarians. I'm spelling Brian Grimm today, as he did a great job last week introducing and talking more about our Rotary Reads volunteer program that we have coming up. But one thing that I have that he doesn't have is this unique journal entry that I wanted to share with everyone. And it's dated Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. And it simply says, "Today I participated in Rotary Reads and reached 30 plus children in the classroom that I was with. Sure, they weren't all paying attention. Some of them were getting up and down and moving around. One was picking his nose. One was crying for what seems like no reason, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of what I was saying and doing. But as I looked around the room, there were also a lot of eyes lighting up and getting a lot out of what I was reading to them from Arlo Draws an Octopus. And that really means the most. And we know that it makes the difference when you can reach somebody and improve their literacy skills at a young age and sets them up for the future. Now, I know you're wondering, how did I get a journal entry from the future? Well, fortunately, my future self figured out a way to travel back in time, gave it to me, and I was sharing it with you today. And I was going to bring him up to the podium to introduce him, but he is a little bit busy trying to find 1.21 gigawatts of energy so that he can kind of get back to where he came from, which apparently they don't have roads there for anybody that is curious. Nonetheless, the important thing is that this is an opportunity for you all to join me and join your fellow Rotarians in our Rotary Reads project with the York City pre-K students, about 750 children that we'll be reading to on September 30th. So what I need you to do is to sign up for a volunteer shift. Now, I know, easy to do. Pull out your phone. You got your Club Runner app right on their phone. You can sign up right on that, right? Or if you don't, which I don't because I can't even figure out the Starbucks app, there's also a nice little flyer right at your table where you can scan the QR code and it'll go right to the registration page in Club Runner, where I know you all have a sign in and username and password to sign up for. So please do that as soon as possible so that we can make sure that we're reaching all the different schools and reading to 750 kids and giving them a book to help improve their literacy for lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you to the Youth Literacy Committee. This opportunity is a great example of taking something that has been done in the past, thinking outside the box, and amplifying the impact. So when we get into our strategic or visioning exercise a little bit later, this is what we're talking about, and a great example, and I know some of our other committees are working on similar initiatives. Again, just thinking outside the box and figuring out how can we as a Rotary Club make a bigger impact. So thank you, Jason, and thank you to the Youth Literacy Committee for providing this opportunity. And now we have Joan Mummert to make an announcement on behalf of the fundraising committee.
Hopefully this won't fall down. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So the countdown is on. Just 3.5 weeks until Love for Community happens on September 8th. And do not fear, there is a rain date, September 15th. Thanks to our presenting sponsors, North Chemical and Fox 43, we look forward to seeing as many Rotarians and friends participating as possible to support the community. In preparation for competition yesterday, I played 9 holes with Fran Hoover. It was so exciting. Fran could tell you about it. I shot 1 under. 1 under a tree, 1 under a bush, and maybe 1 in the tall grass. So if you play golf like me, you are in luck because there are no more spaces for golf and there are no more spaces for cornhole. However, we highly recommend participating in croquet, tennis, pickleball, and do not forget, we have an amazing dinner and auction immediately following all of that. So I hope to see each of you participating in something along the way. Why miss the opportunity to laugh, to win prizes, build better friendships, and raise important resources to support the community? Please sign up today. There are still brochures on the table. And as Jason encouraged people, there is the QR code just in case that's helpful. So please sign up. Hope to see you there. Oh, one more thing. Why did the golfer bring an extra pair of pants to play? In case they got a hole in one. I'm done.
Thank you, Joan. And I'm sure you play much better than Jody Keller and I do. So, as you've heard over the last several weeks, this fundraiser is a key part of our club's mission, which allows us to support important projects that align with Rotary's values of service above self. So when we come together to support this event, we're not just raising money, we're creating opportunities for change. So I personally encourage all of you to get involved in some way. So with that, we will move on to our strategic planning exercise. So last month, we heard from a speaker who described vision as having 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the unknown. It's about honoring where we are today while daring to imagine what's coming next. Every week, we share stories about the impact of our club, that our club has on the community, on students, on each other. And these moments remind us why we're here. And today, we're asking you to look ahead. This is your club, and your voice matters as we shape its future. What bold goals should we chase? What impacts should we make? What do you want us to accomplish? And what will our legacy be? What is your vision for the future of the club? When you sit down to lunch in 3 to 5 to 10 years, who's sitting around you or who's sitting at the table? Who should be in this room? And that's not just even for 3 to 5 years from now. This could be 3 months from now. So who should those individuals be that are represented in our club? And how can we as a club work together to attract those individuals to become members of our club? And looking ahead, we want to share what we truly want our club's future to be. We're going to give you some time, probably about 5 minutes or so, probably a little bit more than 5 minutes. We're a little ahead of time, but to quickly discuss your thoughts at your tables, or if you prefer to work alone, you may. We are not going to force you to work with others if you don't want to. But we do ask you to jot down your ideas on the index cards, the very colorful index cards that you cannot miss on your table. There are also pens there. Just leave your cards at the table. We'll collect them after the meeting. And if something doesn't come to mind during the next 5 minutes or so, but it comes to you while Bernadette's speaking, feel free to jot that down. And even after the meeting, please let us know what your thoughts might be. So at that, I'm going to give you some time to discuss at your tables. So I'll give you about 5 minutes. Okay, we had a question real quick, is whether or not you have to put your name on it. You may if you want to, you're not required to. So if you feel it, putting your name on it will somehow hinder the truth that you'd like to speak, you do not have to put your name on it. But if you'd like us to be able to contact you about more information or what you're thinking about, please feel free to do so. All right, if I can get your attention. Thank you so much for participating. Again, I know this exercise may have been out of some people's comfort zone. I know we had a great conversation about issues and needs going on in our community and ways that our club can be impactful in those areas. So we look forward to reading your comments. Again, you can just leave your cards on the table. We'll collect those after the meeting. And at this time, I'd like to invite past President Ann Druck to introduce our speaker for the today.
Thank you, President Wilda, fellow Rotarians and guests. According to brothers Angus and Malcolm Young and Brian Johnson of AC/DC, rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Got some claps over here. That was excellent. Rock and roll will never die. According to our speaker for today, music has the power to connect, heal, and inspire. Today, we welcome an accomplished professional, entrepreneur, and owner of York County's first and only School of Rock. In a time when arts are being cut and eliminated from public schools, Bernadette Lauer is providing the children and adults of York County with an outlet and opportunity not just to learn music, but also to develop life skills. Today, you will hear how Bernadette cashed in her 401k at a significant personal risk on a business venture to bring more music to our community. Prior to becoming owner of School of Rock in 2023, Bernadette leveraged her communications degree from York College into professional leadership positions for organizations including WellSpan Health, Rite Aid Corporation, Harley-Davidson Motor Company, Exelon, and York County's Office of Emergency Management. She has served as a board member for the York County Crime Stoppers for over 16 years and as public information officer for the South Central PA Task Force for 15 years. Susquehanna Style magazine called her a community rock and roll model. Parents in our community have said, "You have saved my child's life through music." And these kids are learning how to communicate, respect people and their opinions, and how to be accountable for themselves. It's more than just music here. Please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Bernadette Lauer.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks everyone for having me here today. So Anne mentioned that I used my retirement savings to open School of Rock. Now, some of you might wonder why I'd take that risk. And so I'm going to share my story with you. And while I do, you're going to see some photos up here. So you can go ahead and push play up here. But the photos are going to tell the story also of how far we've come in the short time that we've been open here in York. I've always thought the world would be a dull place without music. Maybe it has something to do with my mom naming me after a song by the Four Tops. Anyone? Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It'll be stuck in your head. I was born in York. When I was a young girl, I'd tell people that I wanted to be an actress, a psychologist, or a lawyer. The reality is that I never have been one who knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I never thought I'd own a music school. Turns out I've been a few things throughout my life. My life has been one of reinvention, constant learning, and growing. I got my first job working in a restaurant when I was 15. I actually started working a little younger than that if you count babysitting and that newspaper route that I do on my bicycle. Newspapers, everyone, you know what a newspaper is? I earned my cosmetology license during high school. So I did hair and nails for a while until I had my first child. Then I started working at a doctor's answering service. That led me to get a job at York Hospital as the switchboard operator. Switchboard? Anybody know what that is? I earned my emergency medical technician certification while I was working at the hospital. and I transferred to the emergency department. I worked at the hospital for about 14 years. While working at the hospital, I started going to York College, and I earned my Bachelor of Art degree in Mass Communications with minors in Marketing and Public Relations. After graduation, I worked at Fox 43 News as a weekend assignment editor for a couple years. And then a friend who worked at 911 told me that the York County Office of Emergency Management was looking to hire their first full-time public information officer. I was hired for the role, and after a few years, I was recruited to go work for Exelon Nuclear. This was my first of a few corporate jobs. My next big move was working for Harley-Davidson Motor Company for 6.5 years, where I became their global communications manager. Then I worked a few other corporate jobs until I got burnt out. So I took some time off and I did some soul searching. I spent time with friends and family, and some friends and family said that I should start my own business in communications. And that would be easy enough because I knew that I could do the job well, but my passion for this line of work had diminished. So I considered opening a gym because I like the idea of helping people to get healthy, but I decided against it because there's already a lot of gyms in New York. And then during the pandemic, I started drinking coffee, believe it or not, for the very first time in my life. So I thought, well, maybe I'll open a coffee shop. But guess what? York has a lot of coffee shops. The other thing I realized, most coffee shops open very early in the morning, and I am not a morning person. Despite having to work day shift for many years, not a morning person. I wanted something that made a difference in the community and something I could get excited about every day. In December of 2021, I read an article about the fastest growing franchises. I scanned the list of 40 businesses, and there was only one that interested me: School of Rock. I had heard of the movie, but I didn't know that there was a real music school named School of Rock. Fun fact, the music school existed before the movie. The very first School of Rock opened in 1998 right here in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and today there are over 400 locations worldwide. Anyway, the idea of opening a music school seemed daunting to me, so I continued searching for my next career move, and nothing seemed like the right fit. In early 2022, a few months after reading that article, I was sitting at a traffic light, listening to music in my car, and it just struck me out of nowhere. I needed to learn more about School of Rock. So I made the call to School of Rock, and I eventually went to their headquarters in Chicago. I interviewed school owners. I met with the executives of the company. I interviewed almost a dozen school owners. Tell me the good, tell me the bad, tell me the ugly. I wanted to know as much as I could. So I also talked to banks about financing options. And the more I learned, the more intrigued I became about School of Rock. One common thing I heard from several owners that I had interviewed was that if I wanted to make a difference in the community and I really loved music, that owning a School of Rock would be a perfect fit. Community involvement is important to me, and I've worked numerous volunteer jobs over the years, and I've always been passionate about music. Music helped me through a very difficult childhood. I've never watched much TV. In fact, I've often said, you can have the television set, but if you try to take my music, we're gonna fight. I've also been disappointed that public schools are having to cut art, music, and even gym classes. When my youngest son came home with his schedule in high school, I asked him, where is your gym class? Turns out he only needed 1 year of gym his entire high school career. Now, I admit I would have celebrated as a kid because I did not like gym class, but I personally think art, music, and even gym class are important and needed for kids. According to a study by the National Association for Music Education, schools with music programs have an estimated 90.2% graduation rate and a 93.9% attendance rate compared to schools without music programs. Those average 72.9% graduation and 84.9% attendance. Also, a wide body of research identifies extracurricular activities such as School of Rock, as a protective factor, and that after-school programs can reduce depressive symptoms. School of Rock is a place of belonging that can contribute to students' mental well-being. And enriching lives through music is the heart of what we do at School of Rock. Experiences of peer interaction are invaluable because they teach life lessons regarding collaboration, conflict management, and relationship building and maintenance. These lead to improvements in confidence and even lifelong friendships. Adolescence is a very formative time. Physical, emotional, and social changes can make adolescents vulnerable to mental health conditions. Music gives adolescents and others a way to express themselves. Some owners that I had interviewed told me stories about parents telling them that they literally saved their child's life through School of Rock. And in the short time we've been open, I've had a parent tell me those same exact words. To me, this isn't something you can put a price tag on. So spending my retirement on opening School of Rock is worth it. So after all of my research, I knew that we needed School of Rock in York. So in March of 2023, I signed an agreement and started the process of opening a school here. Even though I believe that my previous jobs and experiences have prepared me to be a business owner, let me tell you, I've learned so much over the last 2 years. I started my financing process with an out-of-state lender, and to say it was a disaster is probably an understatement. I eventually found my way to M&T Bank and was relieved that I could walk right into the bank and I could look the people in the eye that I was working with. These people were vested in the community because they live here. I used an SBA loan and some of my retirement funds to finance the school. And I did this through a program called ROBS. Anyone ever heard of ROBS? Not one person. Okay, so ROBS is a little known federal program, and this allows you to withdraw your retirement funds without any tax penalty, without any early withdrawal penalty, and you can use it to start up a business. So that's what I did. And in November of 2023, almost 2 years after I read that article, School of Rock York opened. The photos you've been seeing here today are just a few that highlight where we started and what has happened in the 21 short months that we've been open. It's been a crazy and wonderful journey, and I can tell you with certainty that music does change lives. So to tell you a little bit more about what School of Rock is specifically, we are a performance school that offers programs for ages 4 through adult. We combine one-on-one instruction with group rehearsals and live performances. Our music curriculum, named the School of Rock Method, was awarded a U.S. patent. This includes our song-first approach to teaching music. We find it's much more interesting and engaging to teach a song, and then we teach the concepts and layer in the theory from there. We have our own music books. We also have a method app that has thousands of songs, transcriptions, and hundreds of exercises that students can practice at home, and it gives them instant feedback on how they're doing. We found that our students tend to learn faster with our method than through traditional ways of teaching music. Within our school, we've created a safe space for students to express themselves. Our focus is to help our students become well-rounded musicians and to help them build confidence that spills over into other parts of their life. We teach stagecraft. How do you work the amps? How do you restring your guitar? How do you adjust the mic stands? And so on. We teach stage performance. How do you interact with your bandmates? How do you entertain the audience? We teach about the history of music and artists that have contributed to what rock music is today. One of the subtle ways we do this is through our themed lesson rooms. There's a room with 33 1/3 records. Okay. And 45s. Most younger students, when they first come to the school, have no idea what these things are. We also have an Elvis lesson room, Jimi Hendrix, Queen, The Who, Led Zeppelin, among others. And as I mentioned, our programs are aimed at students age 4 through adult. The program for our youngest rockers, the 4 and 5-year-olds, is called Little Wing, and they have a weekly group class that introduces them to musical concepts and different genres. We play musical games and activities. Our Rookies program for 6 and 7-year-olds is a weekly group class where we're taking a deeper dive into musical concepts, and we're letting students explore all the instruments that we offer at School of Rock: guitar, bass, keys, drums, and singing. Rookies work on project songs that will be performed about every 9 weeks for their parents and guardians. Some of these students start taking private lessons in addition to their weekly group class. Our Rock 101 program is for beginners age 8 to 13. Rock 101 students, excuse me. Rock 101 students get a weekly private lesson and a weekly 1.5-hour band rehearsal where students are working on 5 core songs that have been especially picked to help them learn basic concepts and skills for their instrument. Students learn song mapping skills and the importance of practicing and coming to rehearsal prepared. Rock 101 students have a graduation checklist, and when everything is signed off by their teachers, they get to move up to our performance program. Performance program is for students as young as 9 up to 18 years old. These students get a weekly private lesson and a weekly 2-hour band rehearsal. They are working on a themed show, and they will practice songs together for about 4 months. And then we take them to a venue in the community where they get to perform on stage in front of a real live audience. This season, one of our groups is working on Green Day, and one of our groups is working on Nirvana. Their show will be October 12th at the Double Barrel Roadhouse in Red Line. So save the date. Come out if you can. Admission is free and it's open to all ages. And then the week after that show, we'll come back to the school and we'll start the process all over again. Our adult program for ages 18 and over mimics the performance program, with students getting a weekly private lesson and a weekly band rehearsal. And their theme for this season is New Wave, and their show will be October 10th at the Burning Bridge Tavern in Wrightsville. We also offer workshops, birthday parties, and week-long summer music camps throughout the summer season. And there are even opportunities for our more experienced students to audition to become part of our house band. That's who you heard today play, and they play at various venues and events throughout the community. So now I'd like to take a couple minutes and introduce you to the band. Come over here. Just line up with us. All right, so I'll start at this end here. This is Landon. Landon has been with us since we opened our doors. Landon is 17. He started on the keys and then added bass and now also plays guitar. Next to Landon is Kira. Kira is 12. Kira has been with us since about 9 months after we opened. I'm sorry, 6 months after we opened, and she is a vocalist. Harry, who's here in the front, is 10, and Harry has been with us since we opened our doors as well, and he plays the drums. And then we have Brady, who is 18, and Brady has been with us since just a couple months after opening our doors, and he plays the bass guitar. And then we have Ava, our other vocalist over here on the end, and Ava came about 9 months after we opened, and she's 18. So this is our house band, and you've heard me talk today and tell about the powerful impact that School of Rock and music really in general brings. But I asked the house band if any of them wanted to say a few words today, and 2 of them said they'd like to. So Brady, would you like to come up and share your thoughts?
Wow, there's a lot of you. So as Miss Bernadette said, my name is Brady. I am 18 and I was only here a few months after, but it's really altered the course of my life. My family was big into music, things like that. I started playing guitar, moved to bass, when my dad got his back. And I started just trying to play by myself, do all that kind of stuff. And one night my mom comes home and she's like, "Hey, I think there was a School of Rock that just opened. Do you want to go check it out?" And basically from the moment I walked in there, I knew I was going to be there. It's really allowed me to find a sense of community, a bunch of people who like to play music like me, and just a bunch of things like that. And even just to speak to everybody else's growth and watching them get better and better at playing and performing and just general music knowledge. I can even attest to long term based off of the schools in Pittsburgh and different ones around the country. We got to perform with a few of them, and talking to them, they said they've been to School of Rock for like their entire lives since they were 4 or 5 years old, and they graduated and kept moving up, and how it's really affected their lives. And just the impact it has on them and their community and finding their friends. So just to say, it's basically a second family when you grow up through it. But all that to say, I will introduce our next speaker, Kira.
Like Brady was saying, School of Rock has truly changed all of us for the better in so many different ways. When I first joined mid-April of 2024, I was very shy and timid, barely talked to anybody on my first day. But as I sat through my first lesson, I realized that it was such a great community to have, and I have progressed so much since then. And even just seeing like Harry, he was 9 when he first started, and even just a year of seeing him progress is pretty inspiring. Same thing with Brady and Landon. I began to grasp more confidence, and School of Rock really helped me express myself in so many more ways than I would have ever imagined. I finally changed up my hair a little bit and my fashion, and now I get looks in public that are like, wow, that's amazing for you to do that. And it really just keeps inspiring me more and more to do as much as I possibly can for School of Rock.
Kira is not lying. I remember the day that her mom and her walked in the school, and she looked nothing like this. She was a big Lainey Wilson fan, had a Lainey Wilson shirt on. She was all about that, and she was just quiet. And so today she's out here rocking out, being the front woman with some of our bands. So anyways, that's our house band. And I'll just tell you, these kids are so skilled that what they played today was a very scaled down version. You see, we've got we've got a snare and a kick drum and a hi-hat cymbal, right? Harry was like, come on, can't we take the whole drum kit? I'm like, no, we can't for this. And we had to kind of keep the amps down. We're using much smaller amps. So like that there in itself, when we take the students out to perform, that is learning for them as well. So this was a different experience playing to a smaller room and trying to not rock out as much. Not to mention, this is not how we normally address, right, guys? But anyway, so thank you so much for having us. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. You can stay.
Thank you, Bernadette, for being here. And thank you, all of you rising stars. It's great to have you here too. We really enjoyed listening to you play before we started. I'm wondering how are you generating income so that you can be a vibrant business in our community? I've seen School of Rock in other communities, and it's a great program, but I wanted to know, how does that all work out?
Well, I would tell you, being a small business owner who's still in the first 2 years, it's very challenging. And so I'm very fiscally responsible with my budget. Fortunately, I've been a saver since I was a little girl, and I never knew what I was saving for. I've just always been a big saver. And so if I didn't have that savings, it would probably be more challenging, or I would have had to have taken bigger loans and used all of my retirement funds. So it's challenging. Oh, I gotcha. I thought you were talking about the backbone of the business more specifically. Yes. So there's a monthly fee for students. Now, I will say the house band, these students do not pay to be part of house band. That is a benefit that they get. They are all in the performance program. They auditioned for a spot. And we actually have 2 other members who couldn't be here with us today, but they auditioned for this spot and earned it. And when we go out and do shows and gigs, they don't pay. They don't pay for the extra rehearsals. We have, rehearsals throughout the weeks to get ready for shows. So all of that is given for free.
Thank you for coming, and I wish you all the best. I'm just curious, do the students purchase their own instruments, or do you provide instruments? How does that work?
Great question. So the school is fully stocked with all the instruments that we need. However, once a student decides what instrument they do want to pursue, we highly encourage them to get their own. So that makes practicing at home easier. But we have everything in the school. And so even if a student shows up and, they were running from here to there and didn't have their guitar with them, they can use one of our guitars in the school. So we have everything we need there.
Over here. Thank you. Wonderful presentation. Really enjoyed the music during the meal. How many students 18 and below do you have? And how many adults are invested?
So the majority of our students are under 18. That is the bulk. It's more than 90%. But we do have a healthy adult program as well. And they have a lot of fun with it. And in fact, one of our adult students was with us and then moved away to Arizona. And she loved School of Rock so much that she found a School of Rock near her there. And she started going there. And she happened to come back this summer because she needs to sell her house here. And I was delighted when she said she loved our school the best. So
thanks, Bernadette. Appreciate you coming here. Congratulations. I'm a big Guitar Hero guy. So I'm curious if your class homework involves anything like Guitar Hero or melodics or anything like that.
many of our students and teachers have played Guitar Hero. So that method app that I mentioned, that we're working on making that a little more gamified. I don't know that it's going to be quite like Guitar Hero, but a little bit more gamified. But that app, students will open that on any electronic device, and all the transcriptions are in there, backing tracks or MIDI, and they can play along in that app. And they record themselves while they're playing, and then the app will give them some immediate feedback, gives them a yellow, green, red, let them know how they're doing a percentage. And then they submit that recording to their teacher, and then the teacher can also give them some more feedback as well. So it is interactive in that sense, which helps a little bit with the practicing at home, helps encourage that. And then you can earn stars. There's some stars in there you can earn for how much you've practiced as well.
2 questions. Where are you located, and are you teaching all the students all the instruments, or you have paid teachers or volunteer teachers, or?
Great questions. We are at 930 South Richland Avenue. So we are right down the street here behind the Lidl and the Rudders. We're in this strip right in the center. You can't miss our big sign. There's some cards on your table, so you can find those around the table. There's some free lesson cards and some other cards with our contact information on. But definitely follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're all over. But then to answer your second question, so I do not teach music. I do all the fun administrative stuff. I'm also the janitor of the school. But I hire teachers to do the teaching, and I have a wonderful staff. The majority of them have been with me since before I opened my doors. I hired them to do training. And then 2 others, they just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. And then we have a new drum instructor that we've added because we are growing. So as that has happened, schedules are quite full. And then especially like this week, I have a teacher that's on vacation. So I'm looking to hire more. So if you know any musicians, send them my way.
Hi, I'm back here. First of all, this is really a fascinating presentation. Thank you. I shop at Lidl, so I saw the School of Rock. So I was wondering about that. And do you intersect with with the school districts in any way? Do you provide any kind of, music programs out there? So how's that work?
So we haven't gone into the schools to offer music programs. It certainly is an option, and there are some owners of other School of Rocks that do have closer partnerships. Being a new school, we are trying to get a really good solid foundation within our walls before we start going out. But we have done some things like, for example, we've gone to Dallastown High School. Anyone here of Thon? They do the mini-thon. So Dallastown did a mini-thon, and we went and provided the music for that. So we do some of that as well, or events that they're having.
Hi, Bernadette. Thanks for being here today. Kids, thanks for rocking us out earlier. As house band members, question is for you. Are you in other bands? One, and anyone can take this who wants to. And specifically for the two 18-year-olds, are you planning on staying with the house band much longer? What's your plans moving forward?
I did a bunch of music at my school. Like I was in the jazz band, I was in things like that. And that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to go to School of Rock, to learn more. I was also in a band with a bunch of friends. We had a school band at Dallastown, which it was just a bunch of students and things like that. So again, it really helped me. School of Rock really helped me to get those lessons to really be able to perform better and things like that. I know I will plan to continue playing music, whether that's in a band or by myself. I know I'd love to keep playing with people here, things like that. But in terms of staying with a house band, we can only be here until our next show. Once you graduate, you're eligible to stay in performance program, which you need to be in house band. Until the next school year starts. So since our next show is in October, that's when the next performance season starts. So we need to move to adult program. Okay. Well, yeah.
We have had our adults, they have created a second band outside School of Rock. So that has been really cool to see. We actually, the house band got to play with them a couple weeks ago. They did a fundraiser down in Glen Rock and they invited our house band, but our adults were there performing on their own as their own band that they created. So that was really cool. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Bernadette, for sharing your inspiring journey and insights. And thank you to the house band for being here. Great job. As everyone has said, with your playing earlier, it's incredible to see how your leadership experience and passion for music have come together to make a positive impact right here in our community. And as we were talking during the exercise, the importance of arts in the schools and the impact that has on students, which then become your future workforce. So the importance of keeping arts in schools and in young people's lives benefits all of us down the road. Your story reminds us that leadership can take many forms, that following your passion can lead to meaningful change, and taking that scary first step into the unknown can have tremendous impacts on our community. We appreciate you all being here with us today, and we look forward to seeing how the School of Rock continues to grow and inspire. So as you know, our speaker signs a book plate to be donated in the book to be donated to the Jackson Elementary School in York City, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. And this week's book is The Bad Seed. So next week, we'll welcome Rotary District 7390 Governor Mary Brunsky. Mary has been active in the community since moving to Carlisle, including being a Rotary member since 2013. Her address to the club is titled Telling Your Story, Why Rotary? She will share her Rotary story and will update the club on initiatives and activities happening throughout our district. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Have a great afternoon.